Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. I'm going to
Hi.
go ahead and ask you some questions about the testimony and statements you've previously made. Are
Okay.
you able and competent to make to do this cross-examination today?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Are you employed at the Executive Advertising Company?
Yes.
And what is your job there?
I'm a technical writer in advertising.
Okay. On November 23rd, do you recall what time of day you went into work?
Yeah, I went in early that day. I started about 7, maybe a touch earlier.
Is that normally when you go into work?
No, usually about 8, but that day I had a big project I had to finish up.
So would you say your day was busy?
Well, yeah, I had one project, so busy in the sense that I had a whole lot that I needed to get done before the end of that day. Yeah.
And from my understanding, this project was a large advertising brochure. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Were you so busy that day that you had lunch?
Well, I really didn't have time for lunch, so I just ate a little snack at my desk while I was working
And is that all you had to eat the entire day?
until later that evening. Yeah.
Okay. So what time did you complete the brochure? Could you give us an estimate in the time of day?
Well, I remember I finally got out of there about 5:30ish.
And I assume that was you'd completed your work and you were ready to, relax and let off a little bit of steam. Does that sound right?
Yeah, in fact, I had finished and I was glad, and it turned out great. And so I kind of celebrated a little and headed over to the bar that I like to go to.
Is the name of that bar the Mad Hatter?
Yeah, that's the one.
And so you headed there around 5:30 p.m. Is that correct?
Yeah, maybe a little after, sure.
Could you tell me the street that the Mad Hatter is located on?
Well, it's Ramsey, yeah. Pretty much the corner of Ramsey and Hayward or Howard.
Okay. And do you go there often? Is this a normal, frequent place you go after work?
No, I tend to go there, you know, not every day, but occasionally.
Would you say that you go there enough that the bartender or server would recognize you?
Yeah, probably.
And while you were at the Mad Hatter, did you have any food?
No, no.
Did you have any drinks?
Yeah. I had two drinks.
Um, so just to clarify, you had two drinks.
Yes.
What were the drinks that you had?
Vodka tonics.
Okay, thank you. And what time do you think you left the Mad Hatter, if you could estimate?
It was right about 7:15ish.
And why were you leaving the Mad Hatter?
Oh, I was done. It was time to head home and have some dinner. I was hungry.
So you'd had a long day, you'd completed a really big project. Would you say you were getting tired, you were ready to go home and relax?
Yeah. I was mentally worn out, and it had been a busy day, and successful day, and a little bit of relaxation there at Mad Hatter, and then on my way home. Yeah.
When you went outside, do you recall if it was dark?
Yeah. It was dark.
And just to go through the scene of how you left the bar, as soon as you left, you walked toward the intersection of Howard and Ramsey. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And would you say that you were walking west on Ramsey Street? Does that sound correct?
Yeah. That's the direction.
In the statement to police that you gave on November 23rd, you said you stopped at the intersection of Ramsey and Howard to wait to cross Howard Avenue. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and you stopped because the light on Howard to cross west across it was green at the time, and you weren't able to walk across it, correct?
No, the light was red at the time. That's why I couldn't walk across it.
So the light on Howard was red, or the light on Ramsey was red?
Well, so if I'm looking west across Howard to walk down Ramsey, which is what I was doing, that light that I was facing was red.
Okay. So
Would have been walking.
To put it in perspective, you come to an intersection, you stop, waiting for that light to switch so you can walk continually across in a westward direction, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So while you were waiting, it's dark outside. Is there anything else that pops into your head? Like the time of year, were there decorations and lights up?
Well, yeah, I mean it was holiday season, and I noticed that all the Christmas decorations were out, and lights were up, and all the storefronts were decorated, and it was actually a nice evening.
Were the lights that you saw multicolored?
Yeah. Hmm.
And is there anything else happening that night? I believe maybe it was possibly snowing. Is that right?
I think it may have been lightly, or just finished, or just started, or I don't recall at the moment.
So I think in my brain, I'm imagining kind of a beautiful setting. You're standing there, it's the holiday season, it's night, you're relieved, it's snowing, there's lights out, you just completed a stressful project. And so I'm going to have you take a look at Exhibit 1, which is the police sketch of the accident scene. Could you
Oh,
tell
yeah,
me?
okay.
Could you tell me what this exhibit is?
Yeah, so this is the drawing that the officers made at the scene, and it basically shows Mad Hatter there on Ramsey, and shows the intersection of Howard and Ramsey, and shows me standing there on the corner with the lights, and then it shows the facing west because that's where I was headed, and then it shows the kind of two vehicles in the direction they were traveling.
Okay, and so it looks correct to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and can you tell me where you're standing in this sketch? Could you just point to it?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, I'm just going to repeat. You're facing west, going across Howard Street, looking at Ramsey Street. Correct?
Facing west, going across Howard along the length of Ramsey. Right.
Right, thank you. So you're closer to the light on Howard than to Ramsey, correct?
Yeah, there is a light there that's facing oncoming traffic.
So in waiting at the light, I'm assuming the street you're trying to cross was green, hence why you had to wait to cross. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I understand that. So I'm facing the light across the street, which is red, which is why I'm not walking. And I don't know what the light was to go across Ramsey down Howard Street. I wasn't looking or headed that way, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll make an assumption that if the other light was red, the light for the other side of traffic was green or possibly yellow because you can't have two green lights at once. Does that sound correct?
Okay, so you're saying the light on Howard was green, but the light on Ramsey was red.
Correct.
Yeah, which is why I couldn't walk across Howard.
So do you recall if the light was green or yellow on Howard?
No, I don't really remember because I really wasn't going that way, so I wasn't really paying attention to that direction.
In our deposition from Miss Plummer, she told us that her light was yellow. So you're not 100% sure if it was green or yellow?
No, I really have no idea what color that light was because that wasn't the light color I was facing.
Okay. So you said the sketch was correct, and by that sketch, Jody Plummer is coming north and on Howard Avenue. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
And Terry Daniels is coming east on Ramsey Street. Is that correct?
Yeah, toward me, right.
So you quickly realize while you're standing there waiting, that these two cars are most likely going to crash, correct?
Yeah. I'm the only person out there. They're the only two cars, and neither one of them seems to be slowing down, and they're getting real close.
So, and in that moment, you're not necessarily paying attention to the lights anymore. You're paying attention to the cars driving, correct?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So, how long do you think that possible time lapse could have been?
I don't know. It seems to me they were both kind of going full speed, which 35 or so, and they were right there, and so just a couple seconds at the most.
I'm going to ask you to tell me maybe 2 to 4 seconds, maybe 4 to 6 seconds, maybe less than 10 seconds. Which one of those sounds about right?
2 to 4 seconds. Probably 2 to 4 seconds, just a very few seconds. Yeah.
So in your experience as a driver, or even as a pedestrian walking on the street, lights change pretty quickly. Is 2 to 4 seconds reasonable that a light could have changed in that time?
Well, I mean, it totally depends on changed the last time, right? So
that's true, but it could be quick, right? It can happen quickly.
Well, if what you mean is it was red when I got there, which it was, then how long until it changed? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it was red when I got there, so it could have changed, I suppose, at any time.
Right, and we just were already told by Miss Plummer that it was yellow. Her light was yellow coming north on Ramsey, or I'm sorry, north on Howard. So we know that in those few seconds, it's pretty quick, or it's pretty reasonable to say that a yellow could have changed to a red.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at the light and it's red and this other car's coming and she says her light's yellow, then my light could have been turning green anytime. So
correct. Okay. So, in those few moments, we agree that it could have switched from yellow to red, correct?
It's possible.
Okay. Thank you.